Fu Wenduo smiled at the man. The other person's complexion was unchanged. Like Fu Wenduo, he stood alone in a grid while his two companions stood in another grid. Pinocchio jumped down from the wall and moved instantly to Tang Mo's side with great interest. He wondered, is this card really the queen card? Tang Mo thought for a moment. If I lie, will my nose grow longer? Pinocchio smiled. Of course not. Only the smart Pinocchio will have a long nose. Well, I'm not smart at all. Once the long nose shrank again, Pinocchio touched his nose with a depressed look. Then he looked at Tang Mo. You won't grow your nose but I will hear it. The lies of you humans are like gems in a smelly ditch. I can see it at a glance. Tang Mo said lightly, if a gem falls into a smelly ditch, it is impossible to see it at a glance. Pinocchio said irritably, in any case, are you playing the queen card like you said? The two cards were sent out. The card on Tang Mo's side was on the ground and the card of the opposite side was also on the ground. Even if he told Pinocchio this time, the result wouldn't be affected. But Tang Mo said, the fifth rule of the Black Tower, Pinocchio can't know the contents of the cards on both sides. If I tell you the answer, will the Black Tower consider it to be against the rules? Pinocchio suddenly froze. Tang Mo said, the card I played this time is, I won't listen, I won't listen. Pinocchio quickly covered his ears. He quickly ran back into the blank area, too scared to forget his instant movement. After running back, he clapped immediately and the two cards moved into the center of the blank area. Pinocchio loudly called out to Tang Mo, you want to tell me the contents of the card, I won't listen. Tang Mo looked at him meaningfully, before turning his eyes towards the man in black opposite him. The other party was watching him, apparently admiring his interaction with Pinocchio. Tang Mo nodded to the other side with no expression, but his eyes were looking over the man carefully from head to toe. He looked at the man's hair first, then his feet and back to the man's face. Tang Mo was looking at the other person so blatantly that any ordinary person would feel uncomfortable. However, the man in black didn't respond at all. Instead, he allowed Tang Mo to look at him and looked back at Tang Mo. After the scare where he nearly violated the rule of the Black Tower, Pinocchio was frightened and didn't dare speak any words of nonsense. He also didn't dare sing his original song. He stood away from the two cards. Well, your cards are ready so let's get started. Ding dong. In the second round, the players have played their cards. The cards flashed with a dazzling white light, making every player unable to open their eyes. In this dazzling white light, only Pinocchio could open his eyes as he looked at the two cards with curiosity. Snap. Ah! Pinocchio exclaimed. The cracking sound of the card was very obvious in the white world. Every player held their breaths as they waited nervously to see which card was broken. Finally, the white light gradually dissipated. Tang Mo looked down at the two cards on the ground. A card broke into powder and disappeared into the air. On Tang Mo's side, the middle-aged man shook and shouted, victory. This time we won. The young woman on the opposite side turned white. But she seemed to have thought of this result. She controlled her mind and strode into the blank area. She looked to Pinocchio. The rules of the game says that different cards will trigger a duel. Players representing the two cards will fight. The loser will enter the next game and the winner will stay. After a pause, she continued, now my card has disappeared but if I win, I will stay, right? Pinocchio touched his nose. Of course. The one who wins will stay behind. The middle-aged man froze as he shouted, what do you mean, the one who wins will stay? The silver light from the card on Tang Mo's side was connected with the middle-aged man's eyebrows. The young woman took out a gun from her backpack. Is it you? Then come on. The middle-aged man didn't dare to move. The joy of winning the game had disappeared. He timidly looked at Tang Mo but Tang Mo ignored him, staring at the man in black opposite him. The latter unexpectedly looked at him in a carefree manner. The eyes of the two people intersected in the air. They didn't speak but it seemed like a silent exchange. This time, the middle-aged man represented the queen card. 5 minutes ago, Tang Mo had used force to suppress the whole team and force the two people to choose the queen card. After the Black Tower shuffled the cards, Tang Mo became the slave card, Zhao Wenbin the slave card and the middle-aged man the queen card. The middle-aged man was terrified. If the slave card had been the opposite card, his card would be eliminated. No matter what card was played, the two cards wouldn't be neutralized if the king card wasn't played. This meant it was almost certain the duel effect would be triggered. Are you powerful? If you want to duel then why do I have to die? The middle-aged man didn't dare say this to Tang Mo. He was even forced to stand with Zhao Wenbin on the queen's grid. The other thing he was thankful for was that his opponent wasn't the scary man in black but a young woman. Woman, just a woman, the middle-aged man consoled himself as he entered the duel field. The young woman had taken out a pistol and the middle-aged man was on guard. However, she didn't sneak attack like the female student. She raised the gun with her right hand and leveled her line of sight. Then she raised her left hand, her index finger and middle finger separated. She held her hand in front of her face. The index finger of her left hand formed an angle with the middle finger to reveal her right eye. The middle-aged man looked at her warily. Tang Mo also frowned as he looked at this woman's movements. The next second, he heard her gently say, checkmate. Bang. A bullet suddenly shot out of the muzzle. The middle-aged man might be a reserve player but his physical fitness had also been improved. He reacted very quickly and moved to the side to dodge the bullet. He took out his knife and roared, rushing towards the woman. However, the middle-aged man didn't see that the bullet turned after missing him and shot through his head from the rear. From the back of the head, it emerged from between the eyebrows, causing blood to splash. The middle-aged man's eyes widened as he didn't understand why he died. The woman clearly didn't fire a second shot. Where did the bullet come from? His huge body crashed into the ground, blood flowing from the bullet hole between his forehead into the ground. Pinocchio smiled and couldn't hide his lively eyes. A huge black hole appeared under the body of the middle-aged man. A few seconds later, the body was sucked in. He was the first of the 8 players to die. Zhao Wenbin stepped back like he was scared by the death of his companion. It was an ability. Tang Mo calmly watched the scene as the young woman turned back to her team. Pinocchio was very happy at seeing such an interesting scene. He hummed his song and walked to the middle of the two teams. After the duel, the queen card returned to the side of Tang Mo's team. Tang Mo's team had 3 cards left but only 2 were left. It is the knight card. Tang Mo looked at the man in black. The man in black looked at him and asked calmly, why? From the moment I deliberately said the phrase the next card is a queen card, you were a bit shaken. Before that, you had the advantage. As long as you remove our knight card and then keep using the slave card, it is impossible to lose. Tang Mo spoke with no expression. The minister card is the same as the knight card. Your choices are the king card, the slave card and the other cards. No matter which one you choose, I have a 1/3 chance of not being restrained by your card. He didn't say we. He said I. This game was now a game between Tang Mo and the man in black. The man in black stared at him. The only thing I didn't expect was that you would take control of your team so quickly. If I knew that you would see the importance of the card in this round and decisively snatch it, I would have played the king card in this game. If Tang Mo hadn't forcefully suppressed his 2 teammates, then according to their analysis, they would play the queen card. First of all, they wouldn't play the slave card. Even if Tang Mo had said that sentence, there was no way they would play the slave card. Therefore, the man in black could play the king card and restrain his opponent in peace. Or at least there would be tie. However, Tang Mo told the other team that they would play the queen card. This made his 2 teammates worry that they would lose if they played the queen card. Thanks to Tang Mo, the possibility of the 2 men not choosing the queen card was 80%. Tang Mo only had 1 vote. He couldn't convince his teammates and wouldn't be able to decide the contents of the card. However, he took the right to decide by force. The man in black smiled slightly. Why is it the knight card and not the minister card? The man in black didn't play the king card or slave card. But he had 2 options, the minister card or the knight card. So why was it the knight card? Tang Mo looked at him and didn't speak for a long time. He put his hand in his pocket and pressed on the turkey egg. He tapped twice but stopped on the 3rd one. He calmly looked at the man in black. His voice was calm but there seemed to be a bit of helplessness in his voice. You thought we would play the knight card. If you play the minister card, it will trigger the duel effect and someone will be forced into the tower attack game. If 2 knight cards are played, they will become void at the same time and the duel effect won't trigger. No one will be drawn into the dangerous attack game. Tang Mo paused because continuing. I've known you for so long. I don't know why you have that identity but... Mr. Fu, you don't seem like a cold-blooded person. If both options are available, you won't force a person into the tower attack game. Fu Wenduo smiled. But you can also choose the knight card so that the man won't have to attack the tower. Based on his own consideration, this was truly the best situation. No one would have to participate in a tower attack game. Tang Mo spoke lightly, but we have 3 people. Without the knight card, I will be forced into a dead end. I can't take 1 step wrong. He is 1 man, we are 2. Tang Mo pointed to Zhao Wenbin next to him. Zhao Wenbin looked a bit flattered at being mentioned by Tang Mo. Tang Mo didn't look at him. He was always staring at Fu Wenduo opposite him. But even if it was me alone, I'm not such a great person. Between him and me, I will choose the way that makes it easier for me to live. Fu Wenduo smiled. Pinocchio looked at them both and touched his nose. Oh, it turns out that you 2 humans actually know each other. Are you friends? Friends, that is the most fun. Pinocchio's honest card game is most welcome to friends. Every friend who plays this game shows off a beautiful friendship. It is said that their relationship will get better. Tang Mo suddenly stepped towards the blank area. Mr. Fu, I will now exercise the privilege of the Queen to ask you a question. There was a dazzling flash from the golden star in Pinocchio's hand, one end connecting to Tang Mo and the other end to Fu Wenduo. It stopped at the hands of the 2 people. Tang Mo grabbed the light, while Fu Wenduo smiled, grabbed the light and walked to Tang Mo step by step. Ding dong. Triggering the effect of go home and kneel on the washboard. The Queen card has the power to ask 1 question. Tip, the question can't be related to the card content. The questioned person can only answer yes or no. Lying means the game will be lost. After approaching, Tang Mo found that this man was slightly taller than himself. He looked up at the other person and calmly asked, Mr. Fu, do you think the king's gold coin is more important than Momo? Fu Wenduo looked silently at Tang Mo. After a while, he asked, this Momo, which Momo is it? Tang Mo remembered when he was renamed by the law of causality half a month ago and became Momo for a few days. He coughed. The turkey egg. Fu Wenduo didn't mean to play around when he asked the question just now. He asked it very seriously. Once Tang Mo confirmed the question, he didn't answer but fell deep into thought. The reason why he asked clearly was because if the Black Tower judged him to be lying, he would fail the game. Tang Mo understood when Fu Wenduo asked this question and the balance in his heart was already swaying. The king's gold coin was a chance to abstain from the Black Tower game. Momo, the game archiver could store 1 hour of the game and it could be used once every 7 days. If Tang Mo failed this honest card game and was pulled to the 2nd floor of the Black Tower, there was no telling if he could survive. Perhaps he would die and Momo could no longer be used. Fu Wenduo would lose the rare archiver prop. That's why Tang Mo asked him if he considered the king's gold coin or Momo to be more important. He must be clear about Fu Wenduo's attitude since it was crucial for his next strategy. Fu Wenduo thought for a long time and didn't answer. Tang Mo patiently waited for his answer. 3 minutes later, Fu Wenduo answered, no, was the king's gold coin more important than Momo? No one was a one-time chance to abstain from the game while the other was an archiver that could be used permanently. When compared, the latter was more important than the former. Tang Mo felt a bit relieved when he got the answer. At this time, Fu Wenduo spoke in a low voice that contained a hint of an imperceptible smile. Tang Mo, Momo might be more important but it doesn't mean I will give up this king's gold coin for Momo. Tang Mo looked at him. Fu Wenduo calmly uttered a certain fact. If I won this game, I will get the king's going coin and you will be pulled into the tower attack game. But you won't die. If it really comes to it, at that time, Fu Wenduo's lips curved. Tang Mo, you will use it. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed. He knew. He knew Tang Mo had a king's gold coin. The author has something to say, Tang, you can bully me now when I'm not as strong as you. Once my power grows, you can bully me. Come. Bully me. A long time later, old Fu, wife, that original person wasn't me. He is the king. Let me go to sleep. I don't want to sleep in the kitchen expression.